Well, welcome back. Today's What's Your Story, episode 10, and that's life dream number 6. And today we're going to be talking about chapter 5 from my Dreamer'S Ink book, Defining the Dream. And some of you might think, I think we talked about the list in a previous episode, but the best way to start in defining your dream is to get a sheet of paper, or maybe 10 sheets, or maybe 100 sheets, whatever it takes, and write down everything that you're interested in doing with your life. Write down all your gifts and talents that you think you have, but keep room there because you're going to be discovering more talents along the way, plus you're going to be getting more experience along the way, and you're going to be learning more things. So defining your dream is not about getting sheets of paper, writing everything out, because the rest of your life is going to define your dream. And that's the way that God built those dreams in. As a little child, we can say, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. But how many of you know that those childhood things you wanted to be, most of them are all gone now? And so as we get older, as we connect with other people, and as things change in our world, everything changes inside of us. A person over in South America may have different dreams than we have here in North America. So I want to start out by letting you know that I started writing music in 1988. That's 34 years ago. I picked up a guitar, 12-string, and I wanted to help my friend do the praise and worship at our little Bible study on a weekly basis. And almost immediately after I started learning those songs, I started getting my own lyrics. And I would just try different guitar parts. And every week they started asking me, hey, what's your new song this week? What kind of song you got to share this week? And so that's kind of how that started. I didn't even know I could write music till I was 26. And I talked to a lot of 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds now. And they go, really? Because see, in our society, you're supposed to have everything together by the time you're 18. But how many of you know that doesn't work? At least not for probably 95% of the people, right? So I started on that journey, and I did other kinds of jobs to support myself. I've done all kinds of things, really. And I just kept going for either what was available or what I thought I'd like to do. And gradually I got to the point where I sat down in 1991 and wrote a little allegory. Back then it was probably 32 pages folded, in half and saddle stitched. And since then I've added more pages to it. It became my first book, and I have this 30 by 40 art print that I drew. It's 2 different paths of life to go along with that allegory book. I started out, my first draft was like stick figures, not stick fingers. And by the time I did the 40th generation, I was actually showing some progress in drawing these characters. Now, are they like a professional? No, I don't consider myself a professional artist. I'm more of a writer. I've got poems I've written, I've got little short stories I've written, and I'm going to share a really short story here in this podcast that I hope will help you. So write everything out and then pick one to start on, because sometimes you're going to find that you really don't like it. I've had some of my writers with Lyft, they started out in one college degree, and after a year being in there decided they didn't like it and they went to something else. And some of them have gone to something else, some of them gone to something else. And so, but it's okay, if you've got the money to spend. But what if you don't have the money to spend? There's lots of stuff you can do nowadays. You don't even need to go to school. You don't even need to go to college. So, go through your list. Spend the rest of your life working on that list, adding to it, subtracting from it, crossing things out. Some of those things are going to be hobbies. But what it's going to do is you're going to narrow down where you're going. And so as I've been going through these last 32 years, it seemed like I was doing all kinds of stuff. I was into business, I was into sales, I was into construction. I've done these tour buses. I know how to build one of those, how to refit it, the Prevost 45-foot buses, the MCIs, the Van Hoels, yeah, from Germany. And so I've been in those buses. I know them fairly well, and we did some Eagles back then as well. So, enjoy the journey, because wherever you go, even if you land on something right away, that's great. If you're searching, that means you haven't found that what you want yet. And even if you've landed on something, it doesn't mean that you can't change into something else, that it won't morph into something else. Sometimes as you progress up the corporate ladder, other opportunities open up. And you find many corporate people get into podcasts, getting into traveling, getting into other stuff. So always see where you are as a stepping stone to what's coming, okay? And treat it as an adventure, and your life won't be dreary. It won't be depressed. And most of life, most of our daily walk is about attitude. It's about, are we positive? Do we know, like in the last episode, I showed you Pikes Peak covered in clouds and then on a sunny day. Do we see every day that if we get up in a fog or cloudy circumstances, that we know that the sun is still there, is still shining? If you live over in England, every time the sun peeks out behind the clouds, man, they're grabbing their swimsuits and their towels and they're laying out on the grass catching some rays, because they don't have much sunlight, and the depression is very rampant there. So you have the physical sun and clouds, then we have the mental circumstances, sun and clouds in our day. We meet somebody happy, it tends to cheer us up. If we meet somebody sad or going through depression, it tends to bring us down a little bit. So if we can become a ray of sunshine to others, and we smile at them, they smile back at us, that encouragement comes back to us. So what we give out is what we'll eventually receive. And yeah, sometimes you feel like you're giving and nothing's coming back, but it will come back. Now, our dreams have been written in our hearts. And also, as you know, there's a book in heaven that Father wrote for our dreams. He's placed certain gifts within us, and it's up to us to discover it. Like a baby, the parents with the baby, trying to discover what's in this child. So left-handed, right-handed, ambidextrous. Is he good at math? Good at English? Good at art? Good at building? What are these skills? And it just keeps on developing there. You don't push a person right in that spot in the beginning. You let that person discover what God has for their life. And that's true with our friends, with our family. My children, they grew up, and I wanted them to pursue what God had in their life, not what I thought was good for them, or not to fulfill something that I didn't fulfill. No, we are our own person. And if we can grab that as parents, as teachers, as instructors, as in bosses, and find out where our employees or our children or our students, what turns them on, and then encourage that. Can you imagine being a teacher and having maybe 30 kids in your class, and they come to school happy and eager to learn because they know that what you're teaching them is helping them really live life, really find out why they're here, and to pursue those dreams. And even as a coach, they know that you got their best interest. How much more would that change each generation going forward? And the elderly, they're still breathing, right? So as long as we're still breathing, we have purpose. As long as we're still breathing, we can fulfill our dream. Now, one thing that tends to get a lot of people in trouble is timing. We see the dream, and like Joseph in Genesis 37, which we talked about last week, he's like, I had a dream, and y'all are going to bow down to me. Well, you know, that wasn't the best way to say it, but it took him 17 years to get there. And he went through some really tough stuff. He ended up being locked up. He ended up being in a dungeon. But all of that process, see, God can turn everything that's meant for evil to good. He took everything that Joseph went through, and in that process, he prepared him to be second in charge of Egypt. So whatever you're going through, beloved, he's got this. He's able to turn things around in an instant. I know a person that was in prison for life, and God got hold of his heart, got him out of there. He's a minister now, and he's helping people on the outside. He's helping people in prison. He's helping those that were like him, and he's helping them not to be like that. So the Lord took what was meant for evil, and he turned it for good. I'm not saying he's going to get you out of prison if you're in prison and you turn your heart to him. Maybe he's got a work for you to do in the prison. So, you know, to each individual, he does different things. He told one king to go dip in the dirty Jordan to be healed. Why did he do that? Because the king was proud and he needed to have some humility. So pride goes before a fall. So I'd rather humble myself and get raised up than be up here and get lowered down. But it's your choice. It's your journey. And we can choose to do it our way. We can choose to think we know where we're going. And we want all that money, or we want that prestige, you know. Beloved, you're going to get back there one way or another. And I found out with all the scars on my heart, everywhere else, it's far easier just to ask him what he's got for you. And then walk with him day by day. It says that Adam and Eve, or Adam, walked with God in the cool of the day, right? Well, they were telling each other their secrets, what they were feeling. You know, yes, God knows everything, but he wants a friend. That's why he created us. He wanted a family. What family doesn't communicate? What family doesn't love? And so just as we love in our own families, that's what he would like to do for us. He's got all these wonderful plans for us. But if we never talk to him, how are we going to know? Are we going to reject our parents if they love us? Are we going to reject him because he loves us and somebody's told us lies about him? Don't you want to know the truth? I mean, I wanted to know the truth. My dad left when I was 3. Why did you leave? What did I do that made you leave? And as a 3-year-old, I couldn't understand it. But it wasn't my fault. But I lived with that for years before I understood it. And I lived without that other part of that foundation. And many people are growing up in broken marriages, in broken families. And we just got to be okay. We've got to help one another. And so we can also write down our strengths and our weaknesses. You see, going through school, I was great at math. And even when I was playing drums in a marching band, in the symphonic band, I could count. And I was, playing the drums. It was great because I was rhythmically, I could get it. Feeling the music was a different thing because I was so concentrated on counting it. And one of the subjects I hated the most was English, because every year in high school, I felt like they changed all the terminology. Well, last year it was called that. Well, this year it's called this. Oh, and by the way, you can't do it that way. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I wanted nothing more to do with English. If I saw it in college, I didn't even want to see it in college. And now I've written over 400 songs, a few poems, and 9 books, and lots of podcasts and blogs and all of that. I still have trouble sometimes. Does that comma go there? Forget about dashes. I don't care. I'm going to have somebody else edit that, But I'm a writer. Sometimes I see things in heaven and I record them. Sometimes I hear things and I play them on the keys or on the guitar or on the other instruments or the drums. And so I need all those skills for what he's got me to do. What about you? And I really believe I didn't have this many talents. But as I was willing to do the things he wanted me to do, and others didn't want to do what he had for them to do, I believe he gave me more talents. It was the parable of the talents. Yeah, you can see that as money, but you can also see that as giftings and stuff inside. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so look within. Do some research. Ask him. I hope this chapter really helps you. I wrote that book from my experiences and from the revelations I felt like I got from the Lord. And when you're searching for your dream, search for the truth. Don't go just by your emotions. Our emotions can mislead us. God gave us emotions because he has emotions. Did you know he laughs? Did you know he cries? Did you know he gets angry? Did you know he loves with a love that we can't even comprehend? He loves us more than we can ever imagine. And I'm going to read a scripture here in a minute because I feel like you need to hear it. And you probably already know it. But I can tell you that the dream that he has for us, the life dream he has for us, is more than we can accomplish in our own strength. We just can't do it because when his dream for us has a part of him in it, he wants to be in on it. He wants to walk with us like a father to a son or a father to a daughter. And we need to get over some of this gender stuff. The guys have it made, the ladies have it made, this one and that one, forget it. Only in these bodies are we male and female. When we die, there is no male and female in heaven. There's not. Our souls are not male and female. This physical body is male and female so we can procreate, so we can keep generations going. That's the sole purpose. If you don't believe it, look at it in the scriptures. Jesus said, neither are they going to be married in heaven. They won't be given for marriage. They won't have bodies to do that. So we need to get over this stuff. We're all here on this earth for a purpose. Number one is to make it better. Number one is to advance his kingdom, his peace. Wouldn't you like to live in a place of peace? Wouldn't you like to live in a land of love? It's possible. And I'm not saying that there aren't going to be bad things out there, but we have the power to change them. Jesus was our example. He said, now do it. He said, now you do it. You take what I've given you and you do it. You can declare things. We can declare things over this earth. We can break the curses because of what he did. We can make it a beautiful place. We can change it. Just us, individually, corporately, and as a body. It's kind of fun laughing at yourself for the first time. I don't know if any of you do it. I was so intense growing up. I had to do things perfect. I had to be right in everything I spoke because I didn't want to be laughed at. I had something to prove. I had to prove that I was a somebody. Now it doesn't matter. If I mess up on stage, that's human. I'm not going to stress over about it. If God wanted robots, he'd have created robots. No, Paul was talking about, I'd rather glory in my weakness. I'd rather get to my weakness so that his power can be shown. See, it's not an individual thing. It's me and him. And together with his light, I can be a superstar. You can be a superstar. What is a superstar? We have a light inside of us when we're born again. And we're walking around in this dark world. And how many of you know that if you're in a pitch black room, you strike a flame on your cigarette lighter or light a match, and it lights up the whole room. It's like this superstar in the midst of all this darkness. That's what a real superstar is. It's not like these very talented people that, they're rich and famous, but they don't know anything about life. Those aren't superstars. Superstars are somebody that has the light of love in them and lets it shine and not hide it. Now, I know this is a little bit of a different podcast, but there's some things that we just need to talk about face to face here. And so I'm trying to help. So when you get to a place where you can laugh at yourself for the mistakes you make, you know what it does? It de-stresses everybody around you, because then they know they don't have to be perfect either. And we can enjoy our humanity. We can have fun. We don't always have to be the best. It's good if we do our best, but we don't have to be the best. There's always somebody that's going to come along that can do it better, do it faster. Who cares? Let's enjoy the moment, okay? And now, as we're defining our dream, as we're walking through, if we're walking through a valley, we might only know a direction or hear a voice that says, walk this way. And so we got all these trees in front of us, and we see this little path, and we can barely fit through, going sideways through these trees and knocking our hat off if we got one on, the limbs and all of that, but we really don't know where we're going. But hey, somebody's been that way before. So let's try that. And then sometimes we're climbing and we're looking down, and it's a long ways down, and there's all kinds of fear and all of this. We have to jump across, but when we finally get up to the top, we're looking down and we look back, it's like, wow, look where we came from. And what choices do we have ahead of us? Where are we going? What about that mountain, or that there's water over there? Lord, which way are we going? And our path may go all over the place to get to our destination. So sometimes we get better glimpses of where we're going, but once we come down off of that mountain again, we're gonna have to go through some low places to get up to the next one to see again. So if we can keep this in perspective, we won't get depressed and despondent when we're down in the valleys and can't see where we're going next, or when we think it's all gone, or the darkness is hiding it, because we'll know, oh, we were on that mountain, or we were in a revelation with God, or God gave us a vision, or we had a dream, or we were talking and brainstorming with others, and this is the plan. Let's keep going. Let's keep staying focused on that, okay? Now, I believe there are no broken dreams, because the dream that God has for our life is not broken. If he can take all of our mistakes and still get us there, then he uses all of those experiences to mature us and to help us along that journey. You see, everything I've picked up, learning how to play the drums, I can write my drum scores now, and I've got a keyboard. I can put each note in there and on 6 different tracks, and then I recorded it into my computer. Well, I picked up the guitar. I know how to play the chords. I don't know how to play lead guitar yet. And then for my bass guitar, saxophone, trumpet, strings, the synth sounds, and all the other stuff I have in my songs, I play those on separate tracks on my keyboard as well, and I record them into my computer. But I learned them all separate, and now it all comes together. You learn different things in your life, and God's going to use all of that. Maybe you're going to be an overseer, and because you know how to do it, people can't cheat you on what you're overseeing. You know what they're capable of, and you know what it takes to get it done. And so you're the person for that job, or you're the person for your business that does that. And you know how to hire employees, you know how to mentor them, and raise them up and encourage them too. So everything we learn along the way is for a reason, even if it's from a broken area. He heals the brokenhearted. He can come in and he can heal that. If we have fear, his perfect love drives out all fear. So we just ask him to come into that area and heal us and get the fear out. Now, most people have a problem with their dreams because they're looking here. God says, look here. He says, I can do more than you can even imagine. And it's because he wants to be a part of it. He wants to raise us up higher than we can even think. Not in pride, not in power, not in greed, but in humility, so that we can help others and so that we can be fulfilled. In Ephesians 3, verse 20 and 21, it says, now to him who is able to carry out his purpose, he does super abundantly more than all that we dare ask or think, infinitely beyond our greatest prayers, hopes, or dreams, according to his power that is at work within us. To him be the glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations forever and ever. There's another scripture that goes, his great power, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead back to life into heaven, that same power is working in us. And Jesus said, greater works are we going to do because he goes to the Father than he did. He showed us how to start. And it's up to us to walk with Father on a daily basis. His dream is bigger for our life. It's bigger than we can imagine. And I had this cool tunnel I wanted to share with you, because sometimes the mountains seem too high, right? It seems like we're never going to get up there. Well, there's a road in Colorado Springs called Gold Camp Road, and it's the old gold mine, the old Gold Camp Road, railroad, and they would use it to go up and bring the gold back down. And what they did was they built some tunnels through the mountain where they couldn't bring the, they wouldn't have been able to bring the train up on that steep of a grade. So instead, they tunneled through it. So sometimes in our life, we need tunnels. And I think that's his grace. I think that's when people come to help us. And I think, it's like one time we traveled through time and space up in Oregon. We were so exhausted, and it was like a 45, 55 mile minute trip. We made it in half the time. And he does that for us. So that was like a tunnel. That was like a space-time tunnel. And we were able to get back and get some rest that we needed. So that's all I have for today. Check out my books. This podcast, get the Dreamer's Ink book. I had a teenager in my Lyft ride this week, and I told him, I said, just get the book, start your own group. Help those that you're already helping. Y'all go through this book together. I've got my podcast here. Help one another. And then take that group and help other groups. He was so concerned about suicide in his school. He's already lost 2 friends. And so he's made it a point to watch his classmates. And if he thinks that they're not doing well, he walks up to them and talks to them and asks them. His grandmother made him promise that every day he's going to pick out somebody and be kind to them. He said, you know what? It's gone a lot further than that now. And I told him, I said, if you want me to come to your school, I'd be glad to speak, bring my music, whatever. But we're here to help. We're here to help you. And on Locals, if you see this video on Rumble or YouTube, you go to my Locals community. It's Joseph James, and join it. If you want to do the discussion, we're doing discussions on some of the content there. If you can help support us for $5 a month, there's going to be supporter-only content there that we're going to put up, and it's going to be special for those who can help us financially, because it costs money, it costs time for me to do this, and I want to be able to help as many as I can, but we also need help too. So if you would, please, you can donate to our GoFundMes for our tour, for the movie, buy a book, pass it around. If you know of people that are struggling with depression and suicide, send them to sentenceofdeath@destinedforlife.com. Listen to my music. It's encouraging, it's challenging, and we're going to be bringing other people on board too to help and this is going to be part of their dreams too. We're going to help them fulfill their dreams. We can all create this community, this, I call it DREAMER'S INK life force community. And we can help each other go for our dreams. And by doing that, doors will open for us to reach our dreams too. So God bless you. That's all I've got. I'm going to share a song I wrote a while back. It's called Still. Doesn't matter how bad you messed up, God still loves you. I'd like to share a song with you called Still. It's the story of my life, growing up without a father and had some stepdads, and I'm grateful to them. But there were many times I shook my fist up to Father because I didn't understand. But you know what? He loved me anyway, and He loves you too. We're His children, and He's always there for us. So I just want to share that with you real quick. It's called Still. I shook my fist up at you, Lord. I didn't understand. I called your names, now I'm ashamed. I didn't see your plan. And still, your arms are open wide. Still, you hug me tight. Still, you love me so I'm amazed. I've let you down so many times, falling on my face. I've missed the mark, I've blown it all, face to face now by your grace. And still, your arms are open wide. Still, you hug me tight. And still, you love me so I'm amazed. And now I see your plan for me as I'm standing by your side. It's greater than I imagined. Love pierced the fear that made me hide. And still, your arms are open wide. Still, you hug me tight. Still, you love me so I'm amazed. Still, your arms are open wide, and still you hug me tight. Still, you love me so I'm amazed. I'm amazed. You know, and it's this song is on my Dare to Dream album. It's on my We Are American album. It's on YouTube and Rumble, streaming, along with a lot of my other music. And hopefully by March, I'll have my new romantic album out as well. I've got the songs written. I'm playing them here at the hotel on Wednesday nights. And so I hope this encourages you. Define your dream, and this next episode will pick up where we left off here. God bless you. Have a great one, and have a great life.